Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen Muhammadin an-nabi al-ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear believers, this is the end, or because it's not the beginning, but it's getting close to the end of this series of lectures. And after this series of lectures, we'll be going into the this period here has been like maybe, let's call it a training period or warm-up period or workout period. Anytime you have a fight, you know what I mean, you got to do the training for the fight, and you got to have a few warm-up fights. If not warm-up fights, at least exhibitions. You got to have some real active combat that's genuinely real, especially if you're going for the championship. And that's, dear believers, exactly what we're doing. We're going for the championship of the world, the Negro Movement Championship of the world. The reason we say that is because we're the only group that have ever challenged the United States government over any period of time and lasted and outclassed them all the way. And that's a little bit about what we want to talk about today. It's about that journey. Because in our mission, our coming mission, and there is no, I say this every week or every time we talk together, that there's no separation between this period and that period. But Allah has given us some unique feeling about this stuff, that every morning we get up and every time we take new notes, these notes 220, that's just yesterday. It's like a brand new day. It's the same thing. But man, and every time you write something, it's like, man, that is really wonderful. That's really, and you wrote the same thing, you know, you can go back 10 years ago and you have the same basic thing, because the battle that we're fighting is the same basic battle. Encirclement, suppression, diversion, destroy, overwhelm, and all of these things are things that the FBI, the CIA has done overseas and have done inside the United States with expertise. It has literally destroyed every group that it went up against. And it didn't take them a long time. And if he didn't destroy them, he so heavily infiltrated them that he limped those groups along, and they were actually agents of the government. And that would be most of the groups in America. As I read 2-3 years ago, the articles by Louis Beam. Louis Beam is the white nationalist that wrote the book on leaderless resistance. Now, they came to the conclusion that it was not possible to build up a normal pyramid style structure in the United States and it be genuine. That it was not possible to develop a Ku Klux Klan with a grand wizard, with a grand cyclops, and on down to the functionary, hate monger, boo, Klan member. It wasn't possible without that group being thoroughly infiltrated by the federal government. And he talked about the pyramid structure because most structures are a pyramid type structure. Whether it's the military, whether it's business, you had a president, you had a CEO, you have 2 vice presidents, then you have supervisors or functionaries, then you have the day-to-day workers or hustlers or hunters or gatherers, whoever it are. It's a pyramid structure. Whether it's politics, it's the king, the president, vice president, Congress, Senate, Congress, on down. Always pyramid structure. State governments, governors, state senators, all basic structures. Generals, colonels, majors, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, on down, pyramid structure. Okay, they came to that conclusion, I don't know the exact time, but I assumed that it was about 20 years ago. But well, we came to that conclusion at least 10 or 15 years ahead of it, because we have practiced as a community leaderless resistance basically since 1982. But we incorporated it with psychological guerrilla warfare, where we realized that it was not possible to build an organization in America, and now this is from experience now. Remember, we had been very fortunate to deal with the black movement, the criminal movement, and we had the full scope on the whole show. So, we felt well over 30 years ago, in fact, we started this process that we're in right now, I would say, solidly 30 years ago. The stage we're in right now started 30 years ago when we incorporated Abdul-Malik and those people into, functionaries and friendly people, We would say, this is 2017, we would say 30 years ago, 1987. Okay. We're right now, when we talk about nonviolent resistance, we've always been practicing nonviolent resistance. And nonviolent resistance is that we are challenging the system, but we're not using violence in any way. We never even considered using violence. Never. It never even came up. We use a few defensive internal attack modes. It was on a few individuals, though, but that was in earlier years. That was back beyond 30 years ago. When you're young and people act funny and coming out of that world, we felt if you're going to act bad, then you bad. You know what I mean? You bad, and we was willing to go to any length to make our point. And we did, but that was that time. And God rescued us from that period, and we not rescued us from that period because that was what should have happened at that time. But we're in the big time. We was in the big time then, and we're in the big time now. Really in the big time. So, nonviolent resistance has always meant to us, what it means right now, nonviolent resistance, is clearly that we are going to have an alternative system. And that's where we're going to work right now in that alternative system. Not only resisting the system, like resistant voting, resistant to all of its nonviolent resistance also means that we hope to survive and carry on and to continue and to thrive. So nonviolent resistance takes into account that hopefully you'll be around to continue to work. But we're not counting on that, nor, it's not that we don't care about it, but Allah can fix you in such a way that you're ready for anything that comes. And martyrdom is no bigger than snapping fingers. It gets to that point. Especially if you went to a period 30 years ago when all you studying is martyrdom and your eyes be getting glossy and you be tripping off martyrdom. Yeah, this happened, It's a nice trip too. And once you get it in you, all the way, at first you may have the resistance capability that I ain't scared. You know, I ain't scared of you. You know, and you let them know, and they put it right down. This nigga ain't scared. And they know that, you know that, everybody knows that. But there's a difference between not being scared and almost seeking martyrdom. Almost seeking martyrdom. And also knowing at the same time martyrdom is a part of this process. If it's not you, somebody else, somebody in the movement gonna be martyred. It ain't that one way or the other, no matter what they say. When you go out to challenge systems, somebody is going to be martyred. Somebody is going to go broke. Somebody is going to go crazy. Somebody is going to quit and turn around. Somebody is going to be a police informant. Not somebody, but a lot in America and anywhere else. That's just as old as history. It's as old as systems. The king always had tattletales and snitches and informants. They just, all agencies, federales and police departments and whatever, they've always had informants, you know, infiltrators. When my kids was watching Les Miserables, you know, the French, they had, of course, informers in there, you know. And they was, man, that's terrible. They had informers in. Of course they had informers in. When you know they ain't had no snitches. You know what I mean? They had snitches in Musa's time. They had tattletales and all the time. But we're not too much worried about tattletales. What we realized was that the nonviolent resistance was our policy. And that we were not going to build an open pyramid structure and get anywhere, because everybody was going to be the police. So we had to basically fool the government. And we say, yeah, well, this is what we're going to do. As-Sabiqun, right above board, and everybody there signed this document, and we off and rolling. Well, that was the only thing we could do at that time. We could jump up and down, turn flips, but you have to be able to search the battlefield and the historical process. You're already cut off, you're already isolated, you're already all of that. And all your friends are either going home or going back or being incorporated into the white man's system. That's the way it is. That's the analysis. So what we had to do was, we're going to develop an above board program, and we know what it is. And we have to build a system above board. It was clear, Masjid, school, although that was serious, what we're talking about. But everybody that's incorporated, we knew who we was working with. That's what we knew. It never was a shock. You can never go find anywhere in history when someone packed up and left here or Oakland, then we said, oh, they left. You can't, search all you want and see if you remember that. Oh man, why did they leave? What did you do? You ain't never, just think about it now, think back. Have you ever seen or ever heard of me responding like, oh man, the brothers is pulling out? We never did that. Why? Because that's automatic. Encirclement, we have taught for years that encirclement and suppression is the name of the game until such point as you reach the level of parity with the oppressor. and you can meet him face to face on the battlefield. Okay. Nonviolent resistance is our focus. When we looked at the Venus Project the other day, that was just so people would get a picture. But we ain't gonna try to jump from where we are to the Venus Project. That's their problem. They don't know how to get people from there to there. They want to shut down what they have here and transfer it to that. Remember what he said, lead the cities? Okay, technically that's not possible. To leave the cities, all this DC, New York, forget it. You go outside, you'd be wasting land, wasting everything. We have to transform the cities as they are and the lifestyle, and anything new, we incorporate that. You see what I mean? And as we dismantle, if we dismantle this system slowly, the way it's built, and all these skyscrapers, which are useless, right? That means we have enough material for the next 100 years. Combining that material with new technology, why throw the sheetrock away? Just pull it off the wall, and maybe it's 8 by 12, you just cut it down into 10 by 6 pieces or something. That's a standard size. You know what I mean? You use that. Crush the rest of it up into something and make some new sheetrock. But the process of transformation is the second stage. But the first stage is, remember what we have. We have churches, we have synagogues, we have Masjid. Of course, it's going to be difficult to get people to, this is not a picnic. Nobody signs on to this one for a picnic. Whatever rest and tranquility and all that you've had so far, once this stuff kick in, that's about it. So if you see me trying to get a few more days of rest, because I know that when this stuff kick in, party days is over, you know. So the number 2 is the transformation period. That's what the Venus Project don't have nothing in mind. See, we have to functionalize everything. That's the type of movement we are. We're idealists, we're visionaries, but we're functional. You know what I mean? There are certain things that you need to survive. And now, although we've evolved, we always, and that's why they attacked money, the system. Because in the old days, we always depended on money. Not depended on it, but we knew one of the core things, possessions to have, is money. Money. If you want to get away from the white man, you have to have money. If you don't, you have to wait around somewhere for somebody to bring you some money, and they done already put out a reward for you, for everybody, your friends and everybody. So whoever come to you, probably, maybe the police anyway. Just like our friend down there in Dixie. You remember when they surrounded him, he ran out of the enclosure and wrapped himself around the police, black policeman. He's smart. Supposedly to come out and, hey, here I am, with my hands up. Of course, somebody, gun almost go off. Somebody, a gun, that's it. Is that an investigation? Of course not. Anyway, not to spend all the time on that. Nonviolent resistance is number 1. We're in that right now on a new and higher level. We hope this is the last stage of nonviolent resistance. But the alternative system for what we're trying to do now, what we're going to do now, will also take money and all of those things that you need to do that. But we're not as materialized as before. This last period allowed us to transcend a little bit, yes, into more spiritual reality. Tazkiyah bil nafs, all of those things. You still know you need money and all that, but you don't build no house on money. You see what I mean? That's not your foundation. But you need it to decorate, to have tables, electricity, and all that. You got to have money, right? So we have evolved already. We have evolved a long way, and I'll try to mention a few of those things. So, nonviolent transformation. I said this 1,000 times, but I will say it again. The reason we believe in or working toward nonviolent transformation is because to transform a society, to have a revolution or an evolution or whatever, the less killing, the better. The less meanness and hatred, the better. The more we can neutralize the system not to kill people, and the more we can prepare the people not to respond with violence. You see what I mean? That is I'll put it this way, we have a choice in what we're doing. So anybody would say that is stupid to choose nonviolent revolution. Go ahead, your head, say one before. Which one was that? This is a good comment. Have you ever seen Power? Give up power with just to say, well, you guys haven't been that bad. I think that's a good idea. And it will say no. You don't have them hardly. Even with Dr. King, it wasn't no nonviolent revolution. They sick dogs on them and they responded nonviolently. But in the final analysis, Dr. King was assassinated with extreme violence. John Kennedy was assassinated with extreme violence right in front of everybody on TV and blew the man's head off. Good God Almighty. That is I mean, we're not dealing with Santa Claus-ish type people. We have to remember that. So when we say nonviolent resistance, I may talk all the time, and I mean it 100%, that I plan to retire when I'm 100 years old and we're going to be done all this. That's my plan. But I don't have no guarantee. You know, when you go to the insurance company, they give you guaranteed if you fall sick or you trip down the stairs, we're going to give you $50,000. And if this happened, I don't have any of those things. I don't think anybody has. And Allah may send you some hints, but if you struggle in His way, Allah's direct reward is promised to you on the other side. On the other side. Sometimes on this side and the next side. The best of this side, yes.
Can I read something right quick?
Yes, go ahead.
You just said, and I just got this today.
Right.
But you've already stated this.
Right.
It's titled Backlash to Backlash. It's from the Atlantic.
Right.
It's something I received in my email. After Trump's election and his controversial policies sparked protests across the country,
Right.
GOP legislators in multiple states have proposed bills aimed at curbing such demonstrations.
Right.
Much of the legislation hinges on arguments that protests cause danger and disorder and new scientific evidence shows that nonviolent protest is most effective.
Yes. Alhamdulillah. Well, see, back to, let me skip back one more time to choice. You know, to become successful, you come to some crossroads where you have a choice. I'm going to get ahead and I'm going to cut anybody's throat and get in the way to be successful. Or you say, technically, I'm already a success. I feel good about life. I haven't done nobody any harm. And I ain't going to do nobody any harm. I'm going to work hard as I can. But I'm not going to step on nobody to get no money or no fame. And you have a choice. You see, okay, the numbers go the other way. Most people say, I got to get ahead by any means necessary. We are making a conscious choice, knowing the consequences of the choice. Nonviolent resistance. I do it personally because I've always been able to defend myself, but I don't have a killer instinct. I mean, if somebody just rush in and they move on, you go brrr, brrr, they don't think this guy's a killer. But if somebody send you a note and talk crazy and you got time to think about it and everything, you send them a note back. Man, we can work this out. Of course, if you come over here acting a fool, I've trained whatever training I'll train you, so let's work this out. Let's be friends. Okay, that's a choice. Our choice with this America. I know all the people that's in the movement know the American system. Okay, I happen to know it a little better. You know why? Because it's been jumping up on my head all my life. And I went through every phase and all phases of it. From super wealth, knowing all the people in your local Congress type, you know, the mayors, the judges, you know, who takes the money. I know all of that stuff. What policemen do, what the vice do, what da-da-da-da-da-da. And have seen it in action. So we are making a choice based on our knowledge of what the choice will probably produce. I mean, which way it'll take you. Nonviolent resistance. And when people, there's a saying in the art of war, know yourself, know your enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories, something like that, right? Sun Tzu, Lao Tzu, whatever they call it. This is true. So, nonviolent transformation. As we continue on, we're going to transform the society. I'm going to pick up this to make sure we get where we nonviolent transcendence. That's almost like Rida, when you're well pleased with Allah and you hope Allah is well pleased with you. You transcended the gravitational pull of nafs and all those things that hold you down. But you're kind of like on automatic pilot. Okay, I mentioned that automatic pilot the other day because I think that's what we're on. We're on automatic pilot. I've tested it here recently because you have to kind of know where you're at. Okay, now, so what we are getting ready to do is teach the people how to defeat the system, how to coexist with the system while you're living here right with it. And do we have the lessons and the know-how? Well, I have a few pictures here. This property right here is a pretty big piece of property. And this is the property that was sold. And if you could see, even from back there, that's the sign. Islamic Institute for Counter Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Of course, this is right here. Now, are people paying attention to us? Could the Oakland Police Department arrest me in the masjid and not know that the masjid is who it belongs to? And we've been there since 1981. And I'm kind of one of the best known people by the Oakland Police Department. I showed the arrest of years ago. Well, also several confrontations. So is it possible that the Oakland Police Department didn't know when they came to whatever they was going to do to the poor brother? Did they know any better? We have to think about that. Revolution from Egypt to the Americans. Oakland and the American Islamic Revolution. And they have, of course, Imam Jamil, and then they have Imam Uthman, and they have me. Is it possible? First of all, what are they talking about, Oakland and the American Islamic Revolution? First of all, when is this? April 28, 2011. If we go back to, I'm going to deal with 3 cases. First case is this one right here, Bashira 2, that's 7/21, 2006. Bashir 1, yeah, 7/14/06. And Hezbollah, 7/28. This is Jummah, you can tell, 7 days apart. The first one, Bashir, not Basir, to see, but Bashir, Mubashir, like Moses is a Mubashir. He brings the good news. Bashir is good news. Think back 2006 when Israel invaded Lebanon. Everybody was rolling and crying. Oh, they blew up the certain reserves and then ran all into the Mediterranean. Oh, it was terrible. And they was bombing, they was laying waste, bombing bridges, infrastructure. Now that's after they had been there. Remember when they was there in 82, they destroyed Lebanon. They destroyed the most beautiful city on the Mediterranean. Not Alexander, but Beirut. Big city. They laid it waste. It was only 4 million people in Lebanon, but they killed 40,000 people in 1982.